Welcome back to another episode of the Sacred and the Profane Podcast. It's your favorite embodied goddess, Neftara Grace. Hey, oh, hey, what is going on? Man, for this session, I was led to light up some bear root and some sweetgrass. So, shout out to the ancestors coming through. They're coming through real heavy. I'm just here with the channel conversation. I can't even say that I get downloads or messages like that. I don't think I ever have. What I've always been in is this constant dialogue with the divine, though. And I really did think, you know how it is. I thought everybody was like me. I thought we were all out here doing it like this. And I've recently come to understand that although the divine does speak to all of us in different ways, no, not everybody has just an ongoing running conversation literally about everyday things with the divine. So, this conversation coming through, it's a conversation, and that's really what this podcast is about. This is you jumping in on these conversations, between the divine and the embodied goddess, and so much of what we commiserate about is sacred, and just as much of my conversation with the divine is absolutely profane in as many different ways as you can possibly imagine. But I also am clear that's a part of the truth that I'm here to share, and that is that the realms of the divine contain both light and dark. We are saints and we are shadows here. Um, that is what it is. So um, that's the whole vibe for tonight. This is every episode is a trigger warning because it's a conversation with the divine. And there's no encounter that you're meant to have with the divine where you're left the same. Okay, that's just not how the divine works. That's not even an option. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why that's being sold or bought. But it's wholly inaccurate. When one encounters the divine, one is forever changed, forever touched, forever moved, forever transformed. And so it is, and that's because it is so. That's what we got. Okay, so look, right at the top of this, you've been told this is going to be a trigger warning. You now know what this is in case this is your first time. It's probably not. I think the last thing there is for me to be responsible for is this. If you are not 18 years old, this conversation is not for you. As much as it may be with the divine, this conversation really is designed for an audience who has some life experience and can really act when it's time to act, given the conversations that are coming through this particular channel, okay? So 18 and up only, and prepare to get uncomfortable, okay? We're going to get some runes out here. I can tell you right now, the conversation is about choice. And it was there present for me this morning as I was driving uh, driving my kids around. Uh, Listen, but before we dive in, let's just get what's out here for us, right? The very first rune out is Thurisaz, that protection rune, and I really really love that. I think that's important when we talk about choice and everything that's about to come up here. Next, we got Eihwaz, which is like relationships, connections. Um, yeah, I think that's a great way to look at that. hmm We've got Hagalaz, which is transformation. Okay, and we have four runes out here. This fourth rune, I love it. It's Jera, or earth, and cycles. I really love that. I love that that's here. So again, Thurisaz, Eihwaz, Hagalaz, and Jera. These are the rooms that are sponsoring this conversation, and we're just gonna get up in it. We're gonna get all up in it. Look, it's about choice, and so much comes to mind when I say that. Whew, I am aware of where we are in. I live in North America. I live in the southern part of North America. Okay, so I'm aware of where we are. Uh, hmm, as Americans right now. And so when I say the word choice, I don't say it lightly. I don't say it um, flippantly. And I do believe that's the point the divine wants to make. And this is one where I'm just a channel, okay? But I can tell you off the rip, what I'm present to is, ooh, so deep, so fast. What I'm present to is the power of choice, the responsibility that choice brings to someone, and why so many people don't want choice. And yet, when people do want a choice, they are often stopped from having a choice. The bottom line here is that choice is powerful, and it's far more powerful than we're giving it credence to. And we've been trained to ignore choice in favor of making decisions, which is to make a decision is to act from a place of disempowerment. When you make a decision, you are acting from a place of being disempowered. The only empowered actions come from choice. I'm saying some crazy absolutes right now, and it's this serious out here in these spiritual streets. Is this serious? Pure actions come from choice. Choice is empowered action. Ooh, we're going deep. Okay. So you guys have been like, okay, well, so and so is a SOB, or they do, all this stuff. And why are they getting away with all this stuff? A lot of times, and I know that there are psychologically appropriate diagnoses for some of these people. I'm not going there because that's not what this is. And some people really can make choices that are harmful to themselves and others and do so from a place of just pure nothingness. Okay? I know that is not the average person. I am literally communicating, however, that there are people who perpetrate some heinous, heinous acts, and they are doing so as a choice. And the literal power that choice itself holds, if you can hear what I'm saying, is what begins to pave a path for them to wreak some of this carnage. Now that's mind blowing if you can sit with that for a moment. Choice is powerful like that. Choice is like the chariot in the tarot. I know we liken death as like being changed in the tarot, but choice, I think choice is the chariot because it's like, wow, like depending, ooh, my palms are itchy, y'all. My palms are itchy all day. It's my right palm. I hear you asking. But to choose is to be in the driver's seat of your life. There is no higher authority, there is no greater position of power. And that's something else that I think really the divine is wanting all of us to get, but why this conversation is being brought forward today of all days. Because again, this is not a day that I would normally record. I would normally record tomorrow on a Tuesday, but it is Monday, November 4th that I am recording this. So take that for what it's worth. But what keeps coming back around is the highest authority in your life is yourself. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. And we are past that time. The expiration date is past due. That's why shit is so stinky, okay? Because we passed our expiration date. It is past time for us to have gotten responsible for ourselves. For ourselves. You've got to be responsible for yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically without religion telling you what to do when, without a without anybody holding your hand, and telling you what to do when. You've got to be in a place where you can manage yourself spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally. That's just what time it is out here. Now, all along the way, we've all had choices about who, what, when, and where. We're going to learn lessons on how to become someone who can manage ourselves in these different ways. And sometimes the relationships and the environments that we chose did not allow for us to grow or develop in one or more of these specific areas. There's no shame there. That's just a truth. That's what I'm hearing. There's no shame. We're just speaking the truth. Some of the choices, some of the decisions that have been made in y'all's lives did not take you to places where you could grow and develop yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Your choices, your decisions may have taken you to where you could grow physically or where you could grow mentally, but not where you could grow emotionally or spiritually. Okay, take that how it resonates, whatever combination of that, whatever it is for you. It's very rare for any of us to have found a place where we could begin to grow and develop ourselves in a holistic way, right? Where our whole self, our whole being was taken into account and nurtured and developed, right, over time. That's really rare. So the chances of you having experienced that, not impossible, not zero, but really quite rare. So some of the decisions you've made in the past took you away from maturing and developing in all of these ways. So what we're saying now is that the ultimate choice, the ultimate power is allowing, recognizing, accepting that there's no higher authority in your life than you. There's no higher power in your life than you. You must choose you. You must choose you. It's like if you go back to the baseball softball team when you were a kid. I know when I was a kid in school we had a recess and you could play, kickball, dodgeball, softball. I was horrible at softball, baseball. I was the last person picked for the team. That's the analogy they're giving me. You've got to be picking yourself first right now. I feel like I'm a broken record, but I don't care because this is what's coming through. You have got to be willing to choose yourself over everything else. It sounds selfish. It's not. It's not. It's it's one of those optical illusions where something looks upside down, but it's not. But you can't tell until you get closer. This is like that. You got to take care of yourself first, and it's not going to make sense until you do it. And I know you've heard it in all the cute ways. Oh, put your oxygen mask on first. However you want to say it. I'm not even going to give you another cute way to say it because it doesn't matter. What matters is that you do it. You have to do it. So choice is really important. Um, Your ability to choose yourself is what will continue to distinguish you from the crowd. Your ability to choose yourself is what will continue to distinguish you from the crowd. And choosing yourself looks so many different ways. I also feel like there's this conversation to be had around being chosen. This came through like last week too. And I felt like it was in profession. Sorry, not profession. Profession. I felt like it was in preparation for this election. And the conversation that started, then last week was it's all about choosing yourself. It's all about nominating yourself as the leader in your life. And of course, I understood that a week ago, but I really, really get that now for myself. And let me just kind of pull it all together. So for a long time, I was the leader in my life, in my imagination. I was trying to think of how to say it. Like, I was not the leader in my life physically. I was not the leader in my life emotionally. I was not the leader in my life spiritually or mentally. I just was not the leader in my life. In every area of my life, I was insecure. In I lacked confidence, and so I was heavily dependent on someone or something in every area of my life. Okay, and If you want to know how old I was, I'm sure it was age appropriate. That's not the point, right? The point is to say now, decades later, I have intentionally taken on being responsible for myself in every area in each of these areas of my life. And so I am aware that I have a propensity to be in charge of myself, to manage myself physically and emotionally. But spiritually, I was trained to give myself over to a higher power. And mentally, I was programmed to submit my thoughts to collective thoughts. Okay, that's my life experience. So over the past few decades, I've done that, the dirty shadow work to realign my spiritual belief system, to realign my mental processing. And so naturally, whether I intended for it to or not, my physical and my emotional selves were also elevated and upgraded as I took on managing myself for myself spiritually and mentally. Okay. So I was raised in a very religious home when I was younger. And part of that belief structure, that worldview, is that there's a higher power and you have to submit your will and everything to that higher power. And it never worked for me. Okay. And part of why it didn't work for me is my soul didn't resonate with it as true. So although I was in the life, living the lifestyle, I didn't, I just had no accomplishments in that lifestyle because it was not authentic for me. And I want to say this because I've also learned that some people have different experiences because of their soul's journey. Okay. So I'm not here to say that one worldview or one belief structure is this, now the other. I do not make that call. I can speak to what has or hasn't worked for me on my path, given what my soul was committed to experiencing this go round. Okay. So for my soul, this go round, spiritual sovereignty was paramount. It was paramount. I mean, it was paramount. Like the first time I got kicked out of Sunday school, I was 8 years old. I didn't come to play. I didn't come to play games. No, I had questions and I was asking them, hands in the air. But what about this and what about this and what about it and how about and what. And the last time I got kicked out of church, I was 16 and I knew I wasn't going back. That's it. I'm not going back. And, I say this as someone who was raised Christian, went through my deconstruction at an early age, in the middle of it, right? In the thick of it at 8 years old. I'm deconstructing Christianity because I'm entrenched in it, in my family, in my culture. Again, I grew up in the South, you guys, so entrenched in church. So this is like my world. It's where I went to school. I went to private elementary school. I went to a private Baptist college in the South. This is like bread and butter, y'all. So I began deconstruction as a little kid. That's how on mission I came in. I'm not here to play with this. Spiritual sovereignty was like, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. And I want to leave you with this out of this share in particular. And I did not know this conversation was going to go this way, and I'm trusting it's going to reach who it is meant to reach at the appropriate time. But every area of your life is yours to manage and be responsible for. The choice is yours. The choice has always been yours. Okay, they want to go deep. Okay, let's do it. There's this silly battle over the choice between whether or not a soul is born on this planet or not. We call it silly because that choice does not belong to a human. It is true that humans co-create to open a door, to open a stargate, to open a portal, to invite a soul to come through. But no human embodied has a say on the contract that that soul has agreed to. So when a woman goes to get an abortion, no embodied human can say that the child's soul did not previously agree to that contract. An embodied human cannot say yay or nay to that. And I'm hearing that's where we're going to leave it. Y'all are so dirty. And that's where we're going to leave it, they said. That's where we're going to leave it. I'm okay with them leaving it there, but I've done a fair amount of work. So I can accept that that's where they're going to leave it. I'm going to sit with it. I did not expect that to come through. And they were really, really pushing that at me, all day. And I just had it in the periphery, like, I don't know if I'm going to go there. I don't know if I'm going to go there. My own, I'll tell you why. I'll say a little bit more about this. My own stances on abortion are quite personal. I am pro-choice. And I am pro-choice simply because I don't believe that I can tell you what to do with your body. That's why I'm pro-choice. I can't imagine that I know the best answer for your particular case. If you're a woman, should you become pregnant? And I say it like that for so many different reasons. I'm a middle-aged woman in America. I'm a woman of color that's grown up in the South. I've seen some things. I've heard some things. I officially left church at the age of 16. I didn't leave ministry. I didn't leave, an official ministerial capacity until I was in my mid-30s. So even though I wasn't necessarily going to church every Sunday, I was still so involved in the helps ministries, if you guys know what I'm talking about, the ministerial aspect of church, that I was still engaged in my community in these ministerial ways, okay? So I've seen and heard a lot of things, okay? For a career path, you probably, if you know, if you don't, here you go. For about 20 years, I worked as a business consultant, as a success coach for executives and business leaders around the world, you guys. So, it seems like a lifetime ago, but I can't tell you, the literal, thousands of people that I've personally supported, just personally supported thousands of people, right? And you know what they say, each of those people go on to impact however many thousand of people, because these are leaders, these are executives, you guys. But the point is, I've encountered enough people in my life to have heard enough stories. Okay. So there's that. And then there's my own personal experience. I am a mom. Okay. And I have my own birth stories. And I'm not just a birth mom, I'm a stepmom. Okay. Gosh, just as a woman, there's no part of this conversation that I'm not vested in, that I'm not like body on the line vested in. Okay. And so because of that, I keep my mouth shut. My own experience with this particular conversation is so multifaceted. It's just as multifaceted as being a woman is, okay? So I'm not going to go into too much of it, but I'm going to say enough here to let you know. My own personal belief is that I don't have a right to tell you what to do to your body. If you end up pregnant and you don't want to stay pregnant, how can I tell you that you have to stay pregnant? I don't know the circumstances under which you got pregnant. And quite frankly, I don't believe they're any of my business. So I believe a woman has the right to say, hey, you know what? Uh, I don't want to have this baby. And as uncomfortable as that is for the people around her, for the person that co-created that child with her, right? If they know or not, it's the choice to terminate is not an easy choice. It's never made flippantly, like, oh, I guess I'll go do this on a Saturday night. I'm bored. That's not how this goes. Okay. So I think we really have to begin to get responsible for how we are having this conversation around the right to life and really get that it's the right to choice. It's the right to choice. It's the right to choose. It's the right to choose. It's a right to choose. And I firmly believe that peace on earth begins at birth. And so, as a woman, if I have the choice to bring a baby in peacefully or violently, I'm choosing peacefully. I'm choosing peacefully. And that may look a bunch of different ways. A bunch of different ways. And it is every human's right to have access to as many of those ways as they possibly can. And that's just period. So I'm going to sit and meditate like you probably are on what the divine sent through, which is like, look, every soul has a contract and you weren't there when it got signed, so you don't know what the agreement is. They could have a 2-week agreement. They could have a 2-month agreement. Some of these people got 2-year agreements. And I have been to the funeral of a 2-year-old baby. Okay. I have. I've seen a lot of death in my life. You can imagine. Death goddess, shaman. Goes with the job. Yes, as well as the dark sense of humor. So I do accept that. And that's why I can accept it. Because you know what? You know what? You're right. I've seen some things. We don't know how long these contracts are. For whatever reason, the divine really wanted that to come out. So it's out. I'm glad it's out. Is there anything else you want to say to your people? No, listen. Be where you are and be who you are. Stage of Aquarius. If you know, you know.